Okay, so like I was saying, he was having a lot of regrets about not being there in the beginning. Did he get out like within a year or so after your son was born?
Yeah, he was he got out in June, so he was 7 months old.
Yeah. Um, he's talking about like he may not have been the dad he wanted to be, but he was the grandfather he wanted to be. Were you and him like kind of re like on this reconnecting journey or like he was
Yeah,
so present?
so we've always been super close. We kind of had like a falling out when he was really bad drinking. I just had to distance myself for my own peace. And then I also told him like,
Talking about you wanted him to like choose you,
hmm
not choose alcohol, but like
yeah,
choose you. And
yeah.
I think that kind of took
Fun
place.
fact, so I have a scar on my head from, I don't know if you can see, it's barely there. But when my brother and I were 2 and 3, I think, or 3 and 4,
That's
we
because
had
of
a wreck.
alcoholism.
Mhm.
Yeah, like
We had a wreck with him.
that
And,
glass?
huh?
Was that glass that caused it? Like what cut into you?
There was glass, yes,
Yeah,
but it
he's showing
was,
me like shoop from like a shard.
yeah, it was, so I hit the dash, like, handle on a Chevy Silverado truck, like an early 2000s model,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even a 2000 model, or 90 something, because yeah, I was 4, so it would have been like a 90s model where they had the little dash bar handle.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost
There
like
was there was a the whole windshield shattered though.
mhm. Yeah. It looks like it went shoop and you went like that.
Yeah. So it used to be from my eyebrow all the way up into here, but now it's like from here into my head because the way it grew when I grew.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, he does talk about like that should have woken him up, but it didn't because he just drank more. This man is thirsty. It's almost like he needed to drink to like fill a need or a void. And that really wasn't anything that happened before you. Or it wasn't anything that happened because of you. It was before you.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if he ever talked to you about like his past or how his childhood was.
Yeah.
He's talking about how it wasn't good. Somebody comes in and says like the alcohol kind of made things more quiet. Like he had a lot of inner dialogue and it
hmm
made like the voices kind of go away.
Yeah,
And
that tracks.
I'm not justifying like how he was
Yeah.
because obviously he made shitty choices, but those
He
are
was also a really good dad and he was there when it mattered.
yeah, like he doesn't seem like he doesn't feel upset with
hmm
you about you or anything to do with you. It's almost just like the alcohol was his third girlfriend or the third person in
Yeah.
any type of relationship.
Yeah.
Because it's like if I look around energetically, it's almost like he has a like a bottle or something that he can drink in almost every room, in
Yeah.
almost every space. Like he is not without it.
Yep.
Um, and unfortunately that had nothing to do with you and everything to do with him
Yeah.
or your brother. He's mentioning specifically the two of you. Um, does your brother drink? Because he's talking about like, don't follow in my footsteps. Don't follow in my footsteps. Um, and that's almost like a word of warning. Like he worries about your brother. I don't know if he drinks heavily, but there is like he's not upset with anyone, but he has,
Yeah.
as he's watching, because he is around, he does come and visit, he does check in on you guys.
Yeah.
Um, but he worries specifically about your brother's drinking.
So do I.
Yeah. So, and somebody's coming in and talk about like, and you can send this little clip of this, like your
Yeah.
brother's demons are not your dad's demons.
Right.
And your dad drank for very, very different reasons. I don't know if your dad ever spoke to you about any type of like past abuse or trauma
Yeah,
or anything.
we were very, very close. So I have kind of like a psych background, and he would pick my brain a lot about, why do I drink? Why do I drink? If I just know the answer, I'll stop.
Yeah,
And I pointed out some things when he was in prison, like a few months before he died, of like, this is what I think, Dad. And he told me I hit the nail spot on.
yeah. Um, and I think that's probably like more of his validation to you that, that he's really here is
Yeah.
that he doesn't want your brother to carry those burdens because he's talking about how you and your brother had a completely different life than what he had like as a kid. And
Yeah.
he's also talking about like for whatever reason like almost like a lack of affection. Like he felt like there was like a lack
From
and
him.
that he received like in his life younger before you.
Yeah.
Like there's just never quite enough. And like
Yeah.
for whatever reason this alcohol filled this hole. And he is talking about like specifically I think he sees now like the abuse caused that. And he's talking about like you were right. Whatever that last conversation was, like you were correct. Um, but he is also saying like that's how he wanted you guys like kind of away from that, even though you grew up in it, like it really wasn't about you.
Yeah.
Um, And he's saying he was like, I just made stupid choices. I made stupid choices in the beginning.
Does he bring any songs to you about like, I don't know, there's like a specific song I feel like there's a couple actually that resonated, I think, with him.
You hear the songs, don't you? He plays the songs for you. I don't know if you have a radio or if you have Spotify, but what I see is a very clear visual of like he'll change it for that
Yep.
song. Whenever you want to talk to him, he puts the song on for you.
Yeah.
And he's like, I do it every time. I do it every time. Like he asks for this without fail. And it will either you'll see it on a video, you'll hear it in the car, it'll come on like on
At
a
a restaurant when
yes,
I'm leaving.
yes. Very weird, weird shit. And he's like, it's just like, I do it every time because it's so basic. He's like, she asks or she needs it, and I just do it every time. Like, why are we confused? I just do it every time. Um, And I think that was a part of his personality. Like you would ask for something and he would just be like, okay, yeah, sure.
Yep.
Like that's
I
kind of,
never wanted for anything with my dad. And, even right before he passed, he gave me money for my attorney to get divorced. And that was a big deal because, he didn't really have money to help like that. And without it, I wouldn't have been able to do what I did. So,
there's somebody's coming in talking about like you had to leave that situation and he knew that wasn't good for you and he was really, really worried. Was there some type of physical?
not physical, but I was worried it was getting there. He was very happy that I left.
Yeah. Somebody comes in and talks about like it would have. It would have.
I
And
worried about that.
yeah. Like I see somebody so close to you, like they could touch your nose and just fucking screaming at you.
Yeah.
Like you're up against the wall and they're just looking like screaming at
Yeah.
you. Was some of that in front of your son? Because I see him off to the side, kind of watching. I don't think he'll remember, but
I
that
hope not. That's why I
that
left when he was little.
yeah, like it's almost like you look around and you are outside of your body and you're like,
Yeah.
nope.
Yep.
Did you tell your dad about that?
Yeah.
Because that's specifically, it's like he walks in, you open a door and you see that.
Yeah. So he did know about it. There was an incident. My mom was here. My mom talked to him about it. My brother talked to him about it. And he was very worried.
Yeah. Did they want your dad to like interfere and like talk to this dude?
They didn't want him to, but he told me he didn't mind going back to prison. It wasn't that bad. And to just tell him,
Yeah, because I get that. I get that vibe. Like, if I
yeah,
needed to take care of it, I would have.
yeah, he made that very clear.
Hmm. I mean, he calls you a lot of like affectionate names, like my sweetie, my angel. I'm gonna take care of her. Like I said, the relationship between the two of you is very, very, very loving. Um,
Yeah. He called me baby a lot.
yeah, a lot of like different little pet names that he
Yeah.
has. He talks about like you were the world, like you and your brother, but I feel like he was closer to you, even though he probably wouldn't
He
have said it
was.
out loud. But he feels much closer to you.
They
Um,
were close too, but we were closer on that level. My brother's more close to my mom. Well, I'm more close to my mom, but I feel like my brother's my mom's favorite because he's the youngest and he's the boy, but that's a running joke that we have.
yeah.
But yeah, I've always been the closer one to my dad, and my brother kind of distanced himself from him before he passed. He has a lot of regrets about that.
I feel like
But
your brother didn't want to get hurt a little bit. Like there's some disappointments.
yeah,
Not that like I don't think your dad intentionally ever really did anything to hurt your to hurt either one of you.
right.
Um, but I feel like his actions and the things that he chose to keep continually doing and the people, neither one of you liked the girlfriend, right?
No, we hated her. We don't hate
Because he's
anybody.
talking about like nobody really liked the girlfriend, nobody really liked her, and he's talking about like your brother like did what was best for him, and that's okay. That he was never really upset with your brother. I feel like your brother probably was like, "Damn, I should have been there more." Like, fuck.
He was, but I mean, our dad didn't have hard feelings about it. He understood.
Yeah, he's
And
like he did what he needed to do. It's okay.
yeah, like he just had to put that space between him to deal with his own thing.
Yeah. Um, but he does kind of acknowledge like your brother really needs to watch it with the drinking and any type of addictive behaviors.
Okay.
Because he's saying like your dad wasn't the only person in the family that struggled, that had
No.
struggles. Because he's like he gets it honest. Like
He
it's not a
comes by it
secret.
honest. Yeah.
Um, so I would just really pay a closer eye to him. And you don't have to tell your brother, like, oh, I went to the psychic and she said to watch your drinking. Like,
We've already kind of had that conversation,
oh,
even not even this stuff, but just like that I'm worried about him, and like don't follow in his footsteps. I've literally told him that.
I think you're gonna have to keep telling him that because
Yeah. He was sober when I lived with him, so I moved in with him when I left my husband in August. I just recently moved back into my house in December, and he was sober, I think 2 months of that 4 month period. And he relapsed during the holidays because he had a Christmas party at work. and he said he was just gonna drink that night, and then they had other parties and stuff, and
No.
he was
So
gifted a bottle of liquor for, you know, Christmas and from a coworker, and so I don't know. I hope it gets better.
I think that's why. So your dad comes in and he's like, watch him, watch him. So, and I think unfortunately you've been kind of tagged, you've been put into that position because it's almost like you're the only person that takes your brother's issues with addiction seriously. Because I feel like somebody comes in and talks about like he is a functioning alcoholic, like he can get his shit together and he's not sloppy. Your dad felt a little sloppy.
Yes.
Like he could not get his shit together. But your brother is like, oh, I'm fine because I can get up and go to work and I can be whatever I need to be. Like, I'm fine.
Yep.
I'm fine. But if I were you, I would invite him over for like somebody's talking about like Sunday dinners, family dinners. You
On Sunday?
whichever day, whatever day. They're just
Okay, we've already talked about a Sunday dinner.
well, they're talking, they're saying like y'all need to put that
Make
in.
it happen.
Yeah.
I
So
literally
anyway,
just talked about it with his girlfriend today about scheduling one.
yeah. So I think that needs to be like a weekly check-in, a monthly check-in, whatever you guys can make happen. But
Okay.
he is best with family around.
Yes.
He is sober with family around. He is not sober whenever he's alone because he has a problem with being with his own thoughts. And I can tell you that because you pulled whenever you're talking about your brother and you're talking about your dad, I'm pulling cards for all of you. So your dad kind of pulled the devil, which is addictions, just making really shitty choices. And I like to say, like, you choose to stand in your way whenever you are the devil, whenever you're in the devil in tarot, in that energy. But fortune kind of follows you and talks about like the past is kind of
I
done.
got Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, you got fortune.
Wow.
Fortune. Yeah. So like you've kind of paid all of your karmic debts here. Like there's nothing, you've been through the worst that you could have possibly been through. And now we're going to be like wiping the slate clean and new beginnings, fresh energy is happening. But you had to go through a lot of shit to get here. And that was never going to happen unless you chose yourself, unless you chose you.
And
But
I did in August.
good. And that was the best decision you could have ever made in your life because if you thought he was going to hit you, somebody talks about like he was going to hit you.
So my aunt had a vision of the back of my head with blood on it that he had shot me.
He was going to hit you.
Yeah.
Probably more than hit you, but like for starters, it was going to be a hit.
So he started racking his guns whenever we'd have arguments. He would go in our room and I would just hear the gun racking and racking and racking and
Like he would
racking and
sit
he
on the
would
side of
dry
the bed
fire
and go
it.
like this.
Yeah, and he would dry fire it in the mirror obsessively. And it got to the point where it was scaring me. I'm like, this is obsessive and scary. Like, I have a firearm for protection, but I don't do that. It stays put away safely, and it's there in case of life or death emergency.
Yeah. He used that sound for intimidation, but for whatever weird reason, it sounds like, from what they're telling me, it also like calmed him down, almost like he was stemming and he was like, this will bring my vibe down. But it was weird because it was also intimidating and he got a
Yeah,
little angry. I don't know. That's different bullshit.
yeah.
You got out and that was the best thing for you. But as far as your brother, he's pulling a lot of collaborative cards where he's going to need some help to stay okay. And that's just like, I don't really feel like your brother's a good person to be alone. Like he just
No,
doesn't like being alone. He can't be
no.
alone. He will go from, if he breaks up with his girlfriend, he'll go to the next relationship and the next one. Like he's not alone for very long. Um,
So he does stay single for a while, but I don't know. I mean,
how do I say this politely? He might be single, but he's not
alone.
alone.
Okay.
I know it's your brother, so I'm trying to tread
He's
very
an Aries, if
carefully.
that gives any.
Got a lot of,
Yeah. I'm a Capricorn.
I don't, you're a lot grounded. Whenever you make a decision, you just go with it. He's got a
Yes.
lot of fuckboy energy and he'll go from here, there, and everywhere. But he's got his shit together, oddly enough.
Yes.
Though
Very much
he
so.
can't put down his one vice. I feel like this is his one fucking vice, and he just can't do
It's
it.
his one flaw.
Yeah.
Truthfully, it's his only flaw.
Somebody talks about like after that, like he's perfect. Like he's perfect. He's fine.
Yeah.
Good. But it's almost like he thinks this is like because this is something that has to do with like his bloodline that like, oh, they did it, they did it, they did it, that
Yeah.
this is just natural. And it's
Yeah.
not. He needs to make a choice to do that. And I think you're in a good position now to help him. He is pulling what you love loves you back. So, and the Three of Wands. Both of those cards kind of talk about like giving and receiving. He feels like a good brother. He feels like somebody that would show up for you if, in a heartbeat if you just asked him. So I think you guys just need to have more family time, more one-on-one time, because if he's, it's almost like he needs to be fucking occupied.
Yes.
He needs to be
By
occupied.
something. But it's like getting him to commit to that is a challenge.
Yes. And so I think we should start with Sunday dinners. But
Okay.
start there. And get him involved. Somebody talks about like get him involved with the kid. He doesn't have any kids, right? It's just you have the kid.
Just mine. He loves my son. They like
Yeah.
have a really great bond.
So I would, talk about like, hey, like we should all go to the park one day and then you can come by for Sunday dinner and then you'll host Sunday dinner or whatever. Like
Yeah.
whatever that is, build that routine and don't break it. Because Three of
Okay.
Wands is talking about turning over a new leaf. Because whether or not you guys understand this right now, I know you may not have even thought about it because you have had a lot of people die. Like you guys are the next generation of people that are going to be, hosting the family events. So
Yeah.
you gotta
That'll
be
be me.
you gotta be working together on that. Like I don't think
Yeah.
he's gonna take charge of anything, but he'll definitely be there to help.
Yes,
But
for sure.
to have that happen, he's gotta like be putting his best foot forward.
Yeah.
So I would definitely I would keep the alcohol away.
Yeah. His girlfriend's really supportive of that too. I think she's a big help with that.
Yeah. I think if he can get his shit together, she might be like the one that tames him down a little bit. But if he can't
Yeah.
put the alcohol away, it might not work. So
Yeah.
I would say like he's gonna have some big life choices coming up.
Yeah.
And that'll happen gradually over
Right.
time. But he's not gonna do it unless you kind of give him better environments. And unfortunately, like your dad comes back around and is like, sorry. It's almost like that's a parenting burden. That's what parents do, right?
Yeah.
And
I've always been that person though.
yeah, like he kind of like he has regrets about that. Like he put you in that position, or he feels like he put you in that position.
Mhm.
Um, but he also talks about like he aware that your brother was drinking to the point that he was?
I don't know that he was aware
Because he is talking about like, I didn't really
because
know
I didn't
like
know until I
that.
moved in with him
Yeah, like
in
he's like,
August.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Oopsie, she's got to fix it. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like one of those, like you would never know.
Yeah.
So, hold on. Cards are over here. I had to turn away.
You're
Um,
good.
so yeah, just be careful with that.
Is there any like does he say like what will help him in that way or
Yeah.
because that's my
So
biggest worry right now is his sobriety and like how he's doing with all that. And then of course, my life in general, like what is it going to look like this year and different things. But
Yeah. So ironically, you are pulling the death card in reverse, but I think we're done with all the physical death. Now we need to choose an energetic death. And I feel like really, 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 it's going to be, as far as helping your brother, it's going to be building a routine. Um, he might not be somebody that likes a routine, but I feel like he'll thrive with it.
okay.
Because I know Aries kind of want to go from like one project to the next, but that's his problem because he does all this shit and then he gets burnt out and he's like, I just need to relax, just one drink. And
That's exactly what he says.
one drink turns into 5 and 25. And that's
One drink, that's a giant drink.
yeah. And really it's like 25 fucking normal drinks. And he needs to
Yeah.
get away from that. Like, I'm serious. Whenever he comes to your house, hide the alcohol. Like, if he asks, oh, we don't have it here. I have your
Yeah.
keys. We're already getting ready to eat. Like, there
Yeah.
literally has to be an orchestrated timeline where he cannot get access to it.
Okay.
So keep building those routines. And does he work out? Because somebody is talking about like he needs to get his health a little bit more in order.
So he did for a while and then he stopped.
Hmm.
And he keeps talking about getting back into it.
Maybe you guys
But
could go together, or you could suggest somebody to go with him because he does need it. He does. He didn't go because somebody talked about he was hungover and he was too sick to drink from like he was too sick to go because he was hungover. And then he was
and
like,
then just fell out of it.
eh, why do we need to go back? I'm feeling great now.
Yeah.
He's very like, if something is inconveniencing to him, then he won't do it.
Yeah.
Which is so weird. He must have a very deep opposing moon sign because Aries are usually like, go, go, go.
Yeah. So if someone tells him to do something, he flat out just does not want to, he wants to do the opposite of whatever they just told him to do. So that's also a balance that's like hard to show. And he is learning boundaries with himself too. He is in therapy. So that's a good thing.
I think he needs to keep that up. Whatever
Yeah.
therapy looks like. Like I always say tarot is like the cheapest form of therapy people can find.
Right.
But I would definitely continue with it. Whenever you have these like Sunday dinners, if he's not going to the gym, I'd be like, hey, do you want to go to the gym together? I want to go
Yeah.
to the gym. Like create opportunities because he's somebody comes in and says that he won't say no to you. He's kind of like your dad. Like he doesn't say no to you. If you
Yeah.
he won't say no.
That's pretty much how he is. Him and my dad.
Yeah, he's like that in that respect. So I would create those opportunities. But drink water for you. Let's look at you a little bit deeper. Drink water. Take care of yourself. Take care of your emotional health this upcoming year. That's going to be really, really important. We're talking about a lot of inner healing. That's going to be your year. Like people choose a word for the year. Maybe healing is your word of the year or whatever it is you want to do. But I would be putting that first and foremost because you don't want to fall into these old patterns. And also,
Right.
like, you've had a lot of grief, you've had a lot of real life shit. Make time to process that grief. Make time. Don't just work, work, work because you got to like do. Make time for you. And I think that's why your dad talked so much about building those family moments between you and your brother because y'all are the ones that have each other in this situation.
We were the only two that understood any of it. And
Yeah.
for like the first 2 weeks, we did not leave each other's side at all. And it was such a blessing that it worked out that I moved in with him a month before my dad died because
Yeah.
in no world would we have ever expected to live together during that.
Yeah.
And
But
like
that's good.
it was very good because I don't know how we would have gotten through that not living together and being around each other that whole time.
Yeah.
Because we really leaned on each other during that time because we were truly the only two people. Like our mom had never lost a parent at that point. So she didn't get it. And, our dad had lost his dad, but he was gone. So, like,
Yeah. You didn't
you
have a
know,
crutch. Like you became each other's crutch. And that's
yeah,
good. Um, and I think that's why you guys kind of need to continue that because that will just build and build and build. Don't let that
yeah.
energy or momentum go. Ten of Wands talks about like the end of things. And for you in this specific reading, I think the Ten of Wands just means like we're done. We're done. It's going to be okay. Like the shitty 2024 is kind of over. And we need
Call
to,
it my year from hell.
yeah, your year from hell is done. And I think whenever we go on this healing journey, we need to forgive ourselves for any situations in which we thought we were responsible. And that's where the healing is going to come in and don't fall for anybody's like cheap tricks or flowery words,
Yeah.
leave that alone. Watch what people do this year, not what people say.
Yep.
That's going to be very, very important to you.
That was a
Um,
huge lesson I took away from last year.
yeah. And you're going to need to hold on to that lesson because I think people are going to want to capitalize on the grief that you're experiencing right now to be like, oh, well, we can just try one more time. Or, oh, if I ask her this, she'll just say yes. So be
Well,
careful
no chance in
with
hell
that.
that's with my ex. I'm a Capricorn and we don't go back, so
That's good. That's good. So just be careful with how you enter contracts and any type of relationships with people. That can be work, friends, anything. If you are not getting as much out of it as you're putting into it, leave it alone.
yep.
And then Ace of Cups. Are things eventually going to get better emotionally for you? Yes. I see a lot of new beginnings. That can also be like a new relationship, a new work environment, new education opportunities. It's kind of a broad spectrum whenever we see the Ace of Cups, but that's also like a big yes if you're trying to make anything happen in your life. You've kind of like paved the way to do that, to energetically hold that.
I
Um,
can't, so I just got a huge promotion in November. I literally
Congratulations.
doubled my salary and it like changed my whole life.
Wonderful.
Especially with, thank you, especially with, being the sole provider of my son, like
Yeah.
that was huge for us. We were able to keep our home and move back into our home that he was born in and different things like that. And honestly, I feel over my other relationship, his father,
Mhm.
because I was so done with that before I even left and I planned my escape from that. And so it's more of an inconvenience that he even has to speak to me at this point. I'm just like annoyed by his existence, but I have to because he is my son's father and
Yeah.
we have court orders and I have to obey those. But that's the only capacity that I speak to him. And he's over there, creating all these things about me and whatever.
Leave that
But
alone.
yeah, I do. I don't even respond or engage. So there is a new relationship opportunity. Um, there's been like three prospects, but this one in particular I think is the best fit. And maybe you can tell me on that, but I think we're both kind of still processing our past relationship. And I think slowly it will get to where it needs to be. And so far, things are good.
Yeah. So I'm definitely pulling some really good cards. Three of Cups talks about new beginnings, and I'm gonna have to extend your time. We've got like less than 1 minute.
Oh, crap. Okay.
I know. But Three of Cups talks about the water and collaborative effort. So if you're still grieving, I would say like group get-togethers. So there's not as much pressure. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah.
Easy does it into this next relationship. But
So
otherwise,
are
if
we
it,
getting back in this same meeting or
oh, I'll just create another one for you. It'll be
okay.
okay.
I'll just do whatever I need to do on
Yeah.
paying wise, but
Oh, it's fine. And then yeah, so you've got a lot of like really good water energy because these last three cards are Ace of Cups, Three of Cups, and Nine of Cups. All of that is
what's
water.
what sign is a Pisces?